All right, everyone, we are back and we are going to go through our lecture 8, system properties, specifically LTI, poles and zeros, which is incredibly important, system response and stability. So we need to understand some of the underlying system properties about this dynamic behavior. We already did, and we kind of introduced the Laplace transform, basically an S domain. But we need to understand when we can apply and essentially use these transfer functions properly, especially when you're doing basically analysis and control design. Remember, this is an introductory course. So some of the limitations we're going to talk about, there are ways around it and other techniques you can use. So it's not that we can't control these other systems, but there's different techniques. And you'll be shocked at how what we're going to cover, many systems are going to fall into the categories that we're going to define here currently. So transfer function limitations. Transfer function, derived by the Laplace transfer function, it needs to, it transforms the system into differential equations. And we're assuming the system is linear, time-invariant, and causal. So causal, basically, we're going to call these systems, they must be LTI systems. So in order to do what we wanted to do and take the real system, convert it into equations of motion, do Laplace transforms, do inverse Laplace transforms, go back to time domain, S domain, they need to have, basically, our system has to follow these properties. So doesn't hold for many systems, but there are lots of systems where this actually does hold. So let's first tackle linear. A system is going to be linear if we're both satisfies homogeneity and additivity. You can also think of it as like kind of, you might be familiar with the Boltzmann superposition principle. So if I have a function, u of t, an input, and then there's an output, if I multiply the input by an alpha, the response should change by essentially that same alpha. And you can kind of see the idea of homogeneity illustrated right here in this kind of first idea here. So if I have a system that satisfies this, they should effectively lie on top of each other, and you see essentially the curves trace. If they're not, and you don't see kind of the same shift, or you don't see them fall on top of each other, this is not, it doesn't satisfy essentially the linear relationship. So you can actually see this applied here for homogeneity. So let's say I have my function, and it's equal to this. If I have this function t alpha here equals this, and it's equal to if I had the alpha on the outside as well. You can also see it satisfies additivity. So if I have some input here, an input here, a second input, then I could basically apply this principle and they'll look essentially the same. They fall on top of one another. So you can kind of do the same thing here. If I have t1 and x of 2, if I basically take this here is going to be equal to if I just separated them out as such, tx of 1, tx of 2. So this is indeed a linear system. It satisfies both of these expressions. This x of t squared, if I were to try to do my homogeneity test, basically putting in that alpha, so this alpha, if I square it here, alpha squared x squared is not the same as alpha times t of x would just be this. So I fail homogeneity, additivity, same idea, right? x1 x squared here is equal to basically this, and it's not going to be equal to this expression. So fail, not working. This is a linear system, our spring mass damper system here. This is not linear because of this friction factor right here. Nonlinear scaling, discontinuous, excellent. And it's the time derivative as well. So that takes care of L in LTI. And actually, it's like LTI, it's linear, it's also has to be time invariant. So a time invariant system, if I have a shift, if I see a shift in my input, there's going to be a corresponding shift in that output. So again, let's take our favorite function here. If I take this here and I shift it, and I put this function here, I should see essentially that same that time shifted output will equal the time shifted input. If I have this system here, you can see here that this is not equal to this right here. So this is not going to hold essentially for our system. So these are not equal. So I violate time invariant. So it makes sense, right? Time invariant basically means that it's dependent or it's switching based on time. if my function here is dependent on time, it's not going to work. And finally, if it's causal, if that system is causal, it's actually pretty cool or fairly easy to test for. If my transfer function, it basically means that if I have a second order or the degree of my ODE or PD that I am looking at in my transfer function, my output must be of a higher order than that input. So let's go ahead and let's quickly look at some examples and then see if we're linear, time invariant. It's basically LTI plus causal. So I wish we would, and actually in the lecture I'm going to hide this. So, but first we can see here, are we linear? Yeah, we're linear. There's no nonlinear scaling, second order or third order functions here. So check mark. Are we time invariant? Yep, I don't see any multiplied by t's or those things like that. Good. Are we causal? This input is first order. This is a second order ODE for sure. So this is an LTI system. We're good to go. We like this system. And we should really like this system because it's like our spring mass damper system. Are we linear here? Nope. Right here. So we're violated. So we're done for. Are we time invariant? Yes. Are we causal? Yep. First order ODE this. We're good to go. But we're dead because of this. So this is not going to work. No. Let me just say happy face, sad face. What about here? Are we linear? Yes. Are we time invariant? Yep. I mean, there's a shift, but it looks time invariant. Are we causal? N needs to be greater than or equal to. So we're equal to here, so we're good. We like number 3. What about here? Are we linear? Yes. Are we time invariant? Nope. Right here. Are we causal? Yes. So nope. And then what about here? Are we linear? Yes. Are we time invariant? Yes. Are we causal here? So let's look at essentially this system here. Are we causal? Are u of t plus 1? We are not causal in this case. So even though we're first order here, we're not, if we do our transfer function, our n is not greater than m, and that is not good. So that is also a sad one. And then finally here, are we linear? Nope, because of this. So we're already dead. Are we time invariant? Yep. Are we causal? You betcha. Second order. So that kind of takes into account our LTI system. So we'll see you in the next video. Thanks. Bye. One quick clarification, because I think it's worth kind of coming back to, and I don't think I explained it enough on the first kind of pass. This system is not causal primarily because, again, it does not rely on future. This system relies on future inputs. So a causal system will not rely on future inputs. This derivative is dependent on this t plus 1, so something that's basically happening in the future. So this t plus 1 dependence here, that is going to basically make the system not causal. So just wanted to point it out. It's a fun little, I think, an important caveat and something that definitely you want to take into account. So see you next time. Bye.